So guys, honestly, this might be the weakest episode that we've gotten from season 2 of Daredevil Born Again, and the reason I feel that way is because this episode features far too much fan service. Most of the times, fan service ends up feeling like fan service. It feels forced. It feels like the writers are being pushed into a corner that the story didn't really want to go to in service of giving Easter eggs to the fans. And I think that's exactly what happened here. The writers are trying to get us all hot and bothered and excited, saying, ooh, look at these cameos. But is that enough? I don't think it is. Let's discuss. In the closing moments of the previous episode, Bullseye took his second shot at Vanessa, and it appears that this time he may have succeeded in balancing the scales. Now, balancing the scales, that's something that you hear a lot during this episode because Bullseye is going through something of an existential crisis in this episode. He has a strong desire to fix the balance. He feels that when he killed Foggy, he tipped the scales in the wrong direction, and he feels like taking out Vanessa is going to fix that. So we are kind of getting a version of Bullseye in this episode that is going through something very similar to what Matt goes through on a regular basis, just being Daredevil. A crisis of conscience, which really does add some interesting intrigue to Bullseye and almost makes you feel a little bit bad for him in this episode. Because the impression that I took away from this episode is that Bullseye is feeling a lot of guilt over his murder of Foggy. Now, does he feel bad about all the other people he's killed? I'm not sure about that, but he's feeling bad about Foggy. And he mentions in this episode that part of the reason that he's feeling so conflicted and feeling the need to balance the scales is because when he fell from that roof, he should have died. That should have been it, and yet he survived. And in his warped mind, he's thinking that the reason that he survived was so that he could take out Vanessa. Now, obviously, Matt hates Dex. Dex has done some horrible things. He is a bad guy. He killed his best friend. However, in this episode, we see Matt actually helping Bullseye. He is literally trying to carry him to safety and get him help so that he can heal from that gunshot wound. And the reason that Matt is going through all this effort and trying to save his own nemesis is because he too is feeling a crisis of conscience. He threw Bullseye off of a roof. He tried to take a life, and he knows that that was the wrong thing to do. So he feels like helping Bullseye or Dex in this situation is some kind of penance for him. They're almost both going through a religious crisis in this episode. Elsewhere, we get one of the best performances that we've ever seen from Vincent D'Onofrio. In this episode, he shows us a side of Wilson that we've really never seen before. A broken Wilson, a scared Wilson. He may be an absolute monster, but there's one thing about Wilson that he has never wavered with, and that is his absolute love for Vanessa. So what that basically means that this is the ultimate gut punch that you could do to Wilson Fisk. He is now going to be off the chains. We're going to be seeing the most unhinged version of Wilson that we've ever seen because he just lost the person that he loves the most, the person that gave him that purpose. And these moments with him and Vanessa in the hospital, like I said, some of the best acting he's ever given us in this entire series. And Vanessa, I can't remember her name right now, but she did a fantastic job as well. I've said a lot of positive things about this episode so far, so let's dive into what I'm saying is the problem with this episode, and that is these flashbacks. They just don't work. Not to mention, these scenes don't really serve the story as much as they should. They feel like shoehorned fan service. Now, sure, the writers tried to write a compelling reason for these flashbacks, but it doesn't really feel like it was natural. We really didn't need to see a flashback scene showing us when Fisk met Vanessa. We already know that he met her at that art gallery, so really the bottom line, this scene is to show us Wesley. They wrote a decent reason to bring this character back, but not a great one, and the same goes with Foggy. These Matt and Foggy scenes, again, they were just written to bring back Foggy. I feel like maybe the writers are feeling a bit backed into a corner, maybe even a bit of regret over killing Foggy in that first season. And these Matt and Foggy scenes, again, is very obvious. These scenes were just written not because of the story that it was going to add, but because they wanted to bring back Foggy. I'm imagining that there's some bit of guilt over killing off this character, so they're thinking, okay, let's bring back this character in a flashback as an apology and just a way to kind of mend things over with this plot point. However, these flashbacks were mostly just distracting because the actors didn't really look like they did back in the time period that these flashbacks are supposed to be taking place. I can tell that they attempted to de-age Vanessa and they looked okay. I never really thought that de-age technology ever looked good. Mostly, I don't like it. But you can tell with Wesley and Foggy that they really didn't try at all to de-age these two. They pulled the old Dexter trick. They grabbed a wig, they threw it on these guys and said, okay guys, you are 10 years younger than you were. So what we end ended up taking away from this Matt Foggy storyline is the idea of mercy. All right, great. We already kind of know that Daredevil understands the concept of mercy, but if they really felt like we needed to hammer home the idea of mercy, there was a better way to do it. Fan service 101, nothing groundbreaking with these flashbacks. It's still a great episode, guys. I'm not saying that this is a bad episode. I'm just saying that it's the weakest one we've had in this season so far, I think. Because mostly it ended up feeling like flashback filler. Have you guys ever seen one of those episodes on a sitcom where the characters are kind of remembering things that happened in the previous episodes? It's almost like they ran out of ideas. The writers are just like, oh, what do we do now? How about we just recap some of the things and just show some footage that they've already seen, like member berries. That's kind of what this episode felt like to me. Even though we're not seeing stuff that we've already seen before, it kind of had that vibe, if you know what I mean. But like I said, this episode does give us some truly amazing performances from Vincent, Elden, Wilson, and Charlie. And Ayelet Zurer too. I finally looked up her name. Ayelet Zurer. She did a great job as well. But yeah, guys, overall, I felt like this was a weaker episode, especially coming off the heels of last week's really solid episode. What are your thoughts on this episode in the comments? If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to hear more things from me, subscribe to this channel. Later.